Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Chef's House at George Brown College. Welcome to all of you that are here and to all the attendees that are online connected with us via Zoom. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Tiziana Tedesco, and I'm the Deputy Director of the Italian Chamber of Commerce of Ontario. Once again, thank you for your participation. This is going to be the last of our series of 3 masterclasses that we have organized this week on the occasion of the International Week of Italian Cuisine with our partners Union Camere Lazio for a project called Lazio Marketplace. It's a project that we have been working on with Union Camere Lazio, as I was saying, our partners, which is an organization that includes a union of all the chambers of commerce in the Lazio region. And we thank them very much for partnering with us on this occasion. A special thank you to Flavia Dauria, the Deputy Secretary General of Union Camere Lazio, and her wonderful team. Lazio Marketplace is a week-long celebration focused on the promotion of high-quality food and beverage products of one of the best-known regions of Italy, Lazio. And this initiative is taking place during the 6th edition of the International Week of Italian Cuisine. The master classes that we had, the first one was focused on the regional food. Yesterday, here at the Chef's House, again, we had a masterclass on extra virgin olive oils. And today we're going to finish with featuring the wines, some beers, and some limoncello from the region. Tomorrow is going to be our highlight event, closing the week, Pentola d'Oro, our annual gala dedicated to the food and wines and the excellences of Italy. So I invite you all, if you haven't done so, to check our website and learn about Pentola d'Oro, find out all the details. And if you haven't done that yet, if you would like to purchase tickets, there is some still available. Also, visit buonissimo.ca, which is our newly launched website completely dedicated to the food and wines and the excellence of Italy and their availability here in Canada and in Ontario. With this program, Eco Canada aims at giving Canadian consumers a better sense of the Lazio culinary traditions while allowing industry people to make new connections with the participating producers and explore new business opportunities. Throughout this week, we discovered regional products with the help of special guests from Italy and from Toronto. And today we will focus on the wines and beverages with the help of sommelier Tim Manessi. Tim Manessi discovered this passion for wine during his 15-year tenure in Ontario's restaurant industry. Hearing the sirens call of southern Italy, he spent half a year living in the vineyards and making wine on Mount Etna. He is a certified sommelier via both CAPS and CMS and has been an instructor at George Brown College in the last 8 years. Currently, he works with an importer agency with a dynamic Italian portfolio and co-owns a small startup winery here in Ontario. So I would like to thank him for being here. And before I thank you so much for your collaborations. Before we start, I'd like just to ask my colleagues to launch the video and a welcome on behalf of the Consul General of Italy, Eugenio Sgro. And then we will show you a short video on the Lazio region. And then Tim will start with the presentation. Thank you so much.
Good morning to everybody. It's my pleasure to be part in the Lazio Marketplace week-long celebration, which takes place during the 6th edition of the International Week of Italian Cuisine. As you already know or you're aware, one of the major concern of the Italian Chamber of Commerce in Ontario is to I would say, educate Canadian audiences to identify the authenticity of Italian products. And this goal can be achieved by improving Canadian people knowledge about genuineness of products, food traceability, and quality control, as well as about certifications as TOP, IGP, DOC, and DOCG. And these efforts made by the Cantina Chamber of Commerce in Ontario are rewarded by seeing Canadian people enjoy the authenticity of the Italian products, whose demand is in constant growth in Canada all around the country. And as you know, Italy is characterized not only by the quality of its production, but also by a large, incredible plethora of agri-food, which give each city, each region, its reputation, its personality. Lazio Marketplace and its masterclasses focus on the promotion of products, wines coming from Lazio, one of the most known regions in Italy. And thanks to the collaboration with its longtime partner Union Camere Lazio, Lazio Marketplace will allow you to discover quintessential food and wine specialties through trade masterclasses and presentations by special guests. I wish to mention today Chef Dario Tomaselli, Sommelier Filippo Bucchino, Professor Giorgio Calabrese, and Sommelier Tim Manessi. Through their knowledge and guidance, you will be able to experience an unforgettable taste of Lazio. I wish you all the best and enjoy this event today. Thank you.
Dove la bellezza è eterna, ci sentiamo a casa. Ci sono il pavimento, le pareti e il soffitto. E poi c'è il salotto, la cucina, il giardino e la nostra TV. Ci sono incanti, ricordi e mostri sotto il letto. E quando scendiamo le scale e quando accendiamo la luce, siamo a casa. Lazio, eterna scoperta.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your introduction. Welcome, everybody. It's always interesting to listen to your own biography. It's a funny experience to start the day, but thank you for that lovely introduction. I'm really just here to facilitate a short review of what Lazio wines are about, where they come from, a little bit of the history, the grape varieties that we'll be tasting today, and as well as guide you through a short, some highlights of the wines that will be presented today. You'll notice you have 5 glasses in front of you. The 6th glass is, of course, for the tasting portion that will follow the formal presentation, and we'll discuss some of those details momentarily. In general, I'd like to say it's very exciting to be back tasting in real life, or IRL as the kids say, so thank you so much for joining us for one of our inaugural events here at the Chef's House in George Brown College. Of course, we'd like to acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit, and we are grateful to be here and share this land as part of our treaties. We're going to start with the tasting in a moment, but I'd just like to walk you through some very, very brief historical elements about the wines of Lazio. So if we could start the presentation, that would be wonderful. Okay, so some super, super brief history. We do not have a super long time together, and of course, the focus should be on the wines and spirits and beers of the region. So, of course, you've all heard of Latium, as we often call it in English or in Latin. Good news and bad news, historically speaking. We can certainly trace back thousands of years of commentary around the wines of Lazio, both those that touted the emperor-winning qualities that would overwhelm even the most strict and rigid of emperors of Rome, all the way to the advertisement that perhaps some local wines are only suitable as a cleaning product. So we see that there's a little bit of a mixed history, but certainly a long, long history, and certainly we've come a long way since some of those weaker wines. The wines we see historically from Lazio are those that are normally white. So we see the two most famous being on the slide there are Frascati DOC and Este di Montefiesconne. And these are two wines that both, of course, are accompanied by long and extensive legends around their origins. The legend of Este and the gastronome bishop traveling through Lazio on his way to visit the Pope, of course, is a famous one that we've all heard many times. The challenges of encouraging people to consume wines from Lazio go back a long ways as well. And that's something that we're discussing a lot nowadays with our producers from Lazio and trying to find what makes the wines unique, as well as bringing them to the attention in terms of the increase in quality that we've seen. As far back as the 17th century, we saw a papal decree requiring or banning the importation of French wine in order to encourage the consumption of local wine. So this isn't a new problem, but certainly today it's difficult to determine what is the problem. Most wines produced in Lazio are consumed in Rome or in the surrounding area. We know this is a massive market, one of the largest in Italy, and certainly one of the largest appetites for wine in the world. So, and I'm sure many of you have been to Rome and been to Lazio, and sitting in a piazza in Trastevere, consuming a carbonara, drinking an unlabeled carafe of white wine, it's hard to say, well, what exactly is this grape variety? Is it a certified DOC or IGT wine? What is the quality behind this particular product? We're really there for the visceral enjoyment of it. So that particular fact is a good thing because we see that consumption continue locally, but that focus on the enjoyment of the circumstance and the enjoyment of the experience, as opposed to the focus on the quality of the individual wines, has posed a challenge for the producers and incentivizing the improvement of the quality of the local wines. So what we see today is organizations like the Lazio Chamber of Commerce, and of course the international promotion via the Italian Chamber of Commerce of Ontario, as well as organizations like Le Vigne de Lazio, which are really about producers banding together and saying, we really want to improve the overall quality of the wines and raise that standard to an international standard. We want our wines to be compared to the best in Italy and the best in the world. And in order to do so, as the director was saying, we talk about certification being important. We talk about focusing on local varieties and highlighting the best characteristics. And in general, we talk about promoting that quality around the world. So that's what we're here to do today, highlighting several producers that are, in fact, seeking new representation here in Ontario. So many of you are here in order to determine whether these would be suitable candidates for your portfolios. And I think you're going to find that there are lots of opportunities here. Just a quick review of what we're talking about when we talk about the production of Lazio. We're 6th or 7th in Italy in terms of volume of production. It's more than 3.5, almost 4 million hectoliters annually. As I said, the vast majority of this is consumed locally in Rome and the surrounding area. The total vineyard area did go down dramatically since 2000, but now we're seeing it level out and in some ways even increase a little bit. The most important shift, in my opinion, is that we're seeing a focus towards red varieties over white varieties. So while these white wines continue to be famous and are still important to the history and are very enjoyable in those piazze, they are perhaps not as marketable globally in terms of style. Therefore, we're seeing a shift from white wine towards red wine production. And so the new plantings that are going into the Lazio area are primarily focusing on red varieties. We'll talk about the varieties specifically in a moment, but of course, international varieties play a role, as well as the signature varieties that we know well from Lazio. There are 27 DOC or DOC zones in Lazio, and I will spare you the deep dive and breakdown into these zones. We are seeing sort of two primary focal points, and we have wines from both of these areas today. The Castelli Romani would be the umbrella appellation. We do have a Castelli Romani DOC that would overarch about 9 DOCs that sort of start about 25 to 30 kilometers south of Rome, and then they work towards the pre-Apennine Mountains, so that would be east, towards the spine of Italy. And then we have the other primary area centered around the town of Frascati. So we have many wines, both DOC and IGT level wines today, and most of them are focused from those two areas. So we can talk about those specifically as we go. The grapes, you're probably familiar with many of them, although some of the nuances are quite important here. So the white grapes, of course, we're familiar with Trebbiano and Malvasia. We're going to be tasting a unique Lazio variety today called Bellone. Historically, we've only seen a handful of single varietal Bellone produced in all of Lazio. Today we have actually 2, maybe 3 available. We're going to be tasting wine number 1 is a Bellone as well. So that'll be a unique experience for a lot of people. As I said, this wine is historically a blending grape, and we're seeing unique and interesting varietal wines being produced today. The other 2, Trebbiano, of course, we're probably most familiar with, and all of its relevant clones throughout Italy. But Malvasia is perhaps the star, and Malvasia it's really important to distinguish Malvasia from the different regions in Italy because it has many different clones under many different names, and as a result, it has many different expressions. We really see 2 clones of Malvasia in Lazio that we really want to focus on. I've noted Puntinata here on the slide. Puntinata, or also known as Malvasia del Lazio, is really important because it's the one that is a progeny of Muscat of Alexandria. So because one of its parents is Muscat, it's the one that shows the high-tone floral aromatics and is the highly expressive version. The other version, Malvasia di Candia, which we see more of, and that would be the one that's most widely planted throughout central Italy, we believe is a genetic relative of a Garganega. So we see a much more neutral profile. So we'll see both of those versions, both blended with Trebbiano in many of the most famous appellations, including Frascati. But what we're most interested in my opinion, is the Malvasia Puntinata, which is named such for the little dots that actually appear on the grapes itself. And this variety, because of its genetic history, has a little bit more aromatic robustness to offer. We're grateful to see that many of the producers locally are recognizing this uniqueness of the grape and are making single varietal Malvasia Puntinata as well. So that's really great. For red varieties, you likely again recognize them all. Thanks. The signature red variety that we often discuss in reference to Lazio is Cesenese. Cesenese, although not originally indigenous per se to the region, has become the region's signature variety. It is challenging to ripen, but it does have beautiful aromatics if you can allow it to get there. It's reminiscent of certain versions of Cabernet Franc in the way that it can be resistant and retain a green character, a sort of a vegetal spiciness. But it has like a floral aromatic when it's fully ripe that is really quite unique. Nero Bono, again, is another local variety that we're seeing a greater focus on as a varietal wine, historically most likely to be blended among the DOC appellations of Castelli Romani. We have both blended versions and varietal versions today, and wine number 4 will be a single variety Nero Bono that we will get to taste together. Montepulciano, of course, blending grape throughout the Castelli Romani, specifically in the Cori DOC, which we have another wine from today as well, and Merlot. So we see Merlot of the international varieties, which of course are planted everywhere. Merlot as a red international variety is sort of coming to the forefront as perhaps the most important in Lazio. We're seeing more and more producers take it up. Plantings are growing. Perhaps this is as a result of famous consultant Cotterella's particular wine that is, as far as I know, is what highest commanded the highest price of any Lazio wine ever put to market. Would be the Montiano, which is a Merlot-based wine. So we see this as sort of an iconic wine that's sort of pushing forward the desire for more Merlot plantings in the region. And I think the examples, both that we have here today and in general that I've had from the region are quite interesting. So as far as international varieties go, I think that is the most, that's the most interesting one to see. We have many producers from the Lazio Chamber of Commerce today supporting the event. We will be tasting 5 particular examples that I handpicked out of about 25 or 26 to highlight certain characteristics. So either to highlight the particular variety, what that producer is doing best, or that particular region. So we won't be able to taste as a group every single producer on this list today, but we will break down 5 different ones, and then you'll have an opportunity to try many other products afterwards. The way this will work is after the initial presentation, so once we get to wine number 5, or our limoncello there in glass number 5, then we'll send out a team of people with bottles, and you can actually go through your little list that you have in front of you, and you can request to taste anything that's on that list. So just make sure you're clear with your server as to which wine you would like to try, and you can simply request it, they'll bring it over, and that's what your glass number 8 will be for. So that glass will get refilled. Of course, you have water available to you via your individual sinks, and so if you'd like to rinse that glass and continue to taste in whatever order you would like and however many wines you would like, we'll be here till at least 2 o'clock today. So without further ado, let's get tasting the wines, no? Okay, great. I've already put my notes in tiny little script. If you cannot read those, I will taste along with you, and we can certainly make notes together. I chose this wine from the fairly large lineup from Cantina Volpetti today because I really wanted to highlight this grape variety. As I mentioned, this is a varietal Bellone, which is relatively rare, and I really found it to be very pretty. The training isn't necessarily unique, and certainly temperature-controlled winemaking in stainless steel is what we would expect from a semi-aromatic white variety. So we're not reinventing the wheel here, but we are highlighting a unique local variety that is showing really well right now. I found this to be pretty and floral, really delicate. We do have an ongoing trend or an ongoing theme of a little bit of phenolic bitterness in the tail end of this wine that we see through a number of the local varieties. Of course, as you know, this has to do with both decisions around farming, but also pick dates and processing in the winery itself. So give this a try. I describe the floral note on the nose as rosewater. I think that's the best description, but we also have tropical aromas that range into cantaloupe and melon, pineapple. And like I said, on the palate, you'll notice this little sort of almond skin-like bitterness. We see these in sort of early harvested varieties sometimes, but in my opinion, when we have a wine that's full-fruited, that continues through the end of the palate, that bitterness can be quite a pleasing addition to the profile of the wine. And remember as well, because in white wines, when we're looking for white wines that are food friendly, of course we have acidity, but we don't have tannin. And so sometimes that little bit of bitterness makes it really extra enjoyable with certain dishes. Good so far? Okay. Yeah, I'm really happy with that. That melon is really coming through today, almost like a melon rind on the palate, and it really carries through. So beautiful example, and as I said, one of the few varietal Bellone available to us. Cantina Volpetti also has a full line of reds for you to taste today, and you'll find them on your sheet, and you can select to taste them in a few moments. Okay, L'Avventura. L'Avventura is specializing in the Cesanese grape variety. They actually are making 3 different tiers of Cesanese. I selected the middle one for you in order to sort of highlight both the fresh herbal side of it, but the more robust side as well. So in other words, there are 2 other Cesanese on either side that sort of bookend this stylistically speaking. So if you do love this wine, I encourage you to explore the other 2 as well. We do see this from the most famous or the most dominant appellation for Cesanese in Lazio, which we would call Cesanese del Piglio Superiore. We see 2 primary clones that are identified of Cesanese that are grown across the region, and they are known as Diaphile or Daphile and Comune, or the common version. We do see Affile being the more significantly exciting clone of Cesanese, and it does seem to be the focus. It originates around the town of Affile, of course, and there is a DOC named after that town as well. So you will see it as both listed as a variety and as an appellation, so keep that in mind. I really like to see the number of these producers that are focusing on organic growing. And as the director was introducing, certification is relevant in terms of communicating what Lazio has to offer to the consumer. And so we're seeing not only organic practicing as we are with L'Avventura, but also some organic certification. So I think, especially in our market, as you all know, selling wine is all the more important to continue to draw consumers to the region. If we're seeing affordable examples of organic certified wines that are artisanally made, as these are, I think that really adds a lot of clout to it. So I was really happy to see the amount of organic practicing and organic certified wines in this flight today. My notes here were on that green and spicy side. As I noted to you earlier, I often find Cesanese in that vein. It is capable of more lush, riper, richer wines, which you'll find in the third of the trio of wines from L'Avventura, which I suspect has a bit of appassimento in it as well. If that interests you, I would definitely seek that out. Here, I think the spicy earthiness is really what I find to be interesting and certainly varietally correct. This is what we would expect in the case of a lot of Cesanese. And if you don't believe me or would like to form your own opinion, we have several today. And if you'd like to do a little Cesanese study, I believe there are 5 in total, if not 6, available to you in varietal form. So you can do your own little deep dive on a particular grape variety. Perfect. Casale Mattia, I chose the Merlot. I did just finish discussing the importance of Merlot, the growing importance of Merlot as an international variety in Lazio. So I wanted to show at least one. I thought this was a really neat example. There's a freshness here, but also something that is unique in terms of the way that Merlot is expressing itself. I've always felt that when an international variety is relatively new to a region, it takes time for it to combine its own natural characteristics with the terroir of that area. So what we see here is something that is not like a French Merlot, it's not like a Californian Merlot, and it's not really like a Merlot from anywhere else, which I quite like about it. I really believe that when we're finding varieties in their new homes, having that synergy between terroir and the variety itself is important. So this wine is not listed as being aged in oak, which that's okay. I do get some oak tending characteristics. And to be honest with you, I don't know if that's some older barrels or if perhaps this is that sort of mocha characteristic that Merlot is sometimes touted for, coming through just purely from grape variety and terroir. But I really like that cold coffee and bitter chocolate note. The palate is tart, fresh, crunchy. It's tight through the finish. I think this wine has a lot of potential, and I think the grape variety does in Lazio as well. Again, like all of these wineries, if you're enjoying this, Caselle Mattia has several wines on offer, and you can work your way through them in a moment. Great. Our largest selection of offerings today comes from Cantina Chinchinato. Chinchinato is making a full range of both varietal and more traditional DOC blends. The reason I selected this one was because I wanted to show another local variety in pure form. So Chinchinato makes the more traditional Cori DOC, which you can try, which is a blend of Montepulciano Cesenese and Nero Bono. So you can find that on your tasting sheet, which I thought was quite good as well, as was their organic certified 100% Cesenese. So it was a tough choice to select just one from Chinchinato to show you today. But again, in the interest of being an educator and stuff, I can't help but select those unique local varieties to highlight. So this is 100% Nero Bono, aged for 2 years in oak barrels, and it's a much more substantial style of wine. So this would be something that's a little bit more ageable. Many of the wines from the region are intended to be drunk younger and fresher, and this is pretty serious. We have much firmer tannin. We have a bigger, bolder style. Certainly a bit of an international style in terms of its production, but definitely showing the capability of Nero Bono when it's given focus and attention. I do love the wide bottom bottle as well. You're welcome to come and check those bottles out, or as they come around to your table. It is really a beautiful package, and I think when we talk about the historical elements of bottle shape, we see a couple of the wineries that are with us today using historical bottle shapes, and I really think that adds to the shelf appeal and to the historical emphasis on these wineries as well. You can read my note there, but you can also form your own. I like that it's a little bit brooding. The fruit is a little bit darker, and like I said, the more serious palate structure to me is quite remarkable. I can see you all agree. Good. So let's do the last beverage, not wine, that we have today in our guided tasting portion, which is the Pallini Limoncello Cream. So limoncello we all are familiar with, and of course limoncello across Lazio and a lot of Italy is a famous locally produced product. Even if locally produced, of course, we see the emphasis on one single variety of lemons, which, if you didn't know, that is a really good piece of Italian wine and food trivia, which is the designated variety of Sfuzzato Amalfitano, which is a specific type of lemon that at first glance looks like a pointy grapefruit, and is ideal for the production of limoncello. So it's really about having the balance of acidity and juice. Of course, that balance is important in the final beverage. And if we want an unadulterated beverage, which Pallini really keeps the additives in their limoncello to a minimum, then we see that this is undoubtedly the best variety of lemon for the choice. The cream is in fact coconut milk, so there is no dairy in this, nor are there any gluten products, binders or anything like that. So we see a very short ingredient list, a really marketable product in my opinion. It's certified vegan, which I think is a great idea, especially for a cream-based liqueur, giving us more options. I was also just generally impressed by this product as being something totally unique. I think the coconut adds both a freshness to it as well as an exoticness to the aroma that sort of complements the lemon in the way that sort of a dairy cream would not do. So I think this is a really cool product. Of course, we do have Pallini's classic limoncello available for you to taste as well. But I thought this was more unique, so that's what I wanted to highlight from their portfolio today. That's more or less it for me. Of course, I'll be here to answer any questions for you. As you know, our connection with Italy, many of the producers have joined us for this presentation today, and they're very excited to have so many people here that are interested in what they have to offer. Unfortunately, it isn't a two-way connection at this time, so if you do have specific questions about specific products or for the producers directly, we're happy to connect you with them. Or you can direct those questions through the Italian Chamber of Commerce of Ontario, and they can have those specific questions answered for you. The contacts, of course, will be available to you as well. If you have any general questions about Lazio or anything else that I can possibly help with, I'd be more than happy to stay and chat with you. Myself and the service team will be coming around to offer you the other wines and products that are on your product list. And from there, we say thank you to and goodbye to those in Italy?
Yes.
Great.
Thank you, team.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you for your great presentation. It was very informative, very interesting. Thank you so much for your presentation. It was very informative, very interesting. I would like to just say a few words before we close down the Zoom online connection with everybody following us online, which we thank very much. So, of course, thank you, Union Camere Lazio, for allowing us to put together this program and for this long-term collaboration and assistance to small and medium enterprises of Lazio. Thank you very much to the George Brown College and the Chef's House and all the staff that helped us put this together. And also thank you to the Eco Canada team, my colleagues Richard Bressan, Astrid Durzo, and Ilaria, who's online, helping and putting on the presentations, and everybody else who's busy with Pentola d'Oro. And before we let everybody go again, we can take more questions. If you want to try any of the other wines, we're going to be here. I can come around with the microphone, and I just wanted to let you know that before you go, there's going to be lunch boxes for you to take away. Since for the COVID restrictions, we won't be able to offer you something at your stand. So thank you again, and we look forward to a next opportunity to meet and to give you any more details you have and on these Lazio wineries. Thank you very much.